All right, everybody, welcome to this evening's live where we are going to be covering whether or not we really will have a ceasefire continuation in Iran, and now rumors of a ceasefire also between Israel and Hezbollah. Let's say Israel and Lebanon. I think that's probably the accurate way to talk about it. So anyway, welcome. I'm Nicole Johnson-Zian. I am a journalist based in Jerusalem. And welcome to this live discussion of all the issues that are coming up right here in the Middle East. We've got, right now, as most of you would know, the war between the U.S.-Israel war on Iran is somewhat quiet. Things have quieted down a little bit, and there's a ceasefire ongoing, even though they did not reach any conclusion in the negotiations. There is somewhat of a ceasefire. And now there are reports, with President Trump saying that the ceasefire is going to continue, or that everybody wants to continue the ceasefire, that there's going to be more talks. And he's been saying that all day. I don't really know what the Iranians are saying at the moment. And wow, Lovella, that is awesome. Finally, I got it that you're live. Thank you for joining. Hold on a second. I just heard a knock at the door. It's probably like one of my kids who didn't bring their keys with them. Oh, sorry. Wow, I did not mean that. Okay, Raya, we're live. Okay, so anyway, Lovella and Carol and John, thank you for joining. All right, and whoever's here, you can drop your name in the chat, where you're watching from. And by the way, I just finished about an hour ago a webinar that I did with the Jerusalem Institute of Justice, and it was like there were some really intense questions going on. So would you like to say something? Oh, okay. Hi. So yeah, they're here. Yeah. So some really intense questions, and we answered a few, and then time ran out. But anyway, so feel free to ask. I can't answer everything. I don't know, shockingly, everything or anything. But anyway, Mandy in Ohio. Awesome. Thank you in Idaho. Oh my God. I read in my mind, I said Idaho, and in my really tired mouth and brain came out Ohio because it seems easier at the time. In any case, okay. So I know you'll remind me when I say where was I before I answered the door and wherever I was going with this. And Mimi and Gong Gong, say hi, Raya. Didn't you eat at a Beers? Yeah, but anyway, okay. Where can you find that interview? Once it is up, I will, when it's out, when they publish it, I will republish it on my pages, but I don't have it yet. It was a live webinar, which was great. Like, you could feel the energy. I'm telling you, lives are different, but you could definitely feel the energy, and it was a lot of fun, and I loved it because Monique, who is the host, also was just like we were kind of geeking out on the geopolitics. So once that's out, I'll share it. But anyway, so we've got, I was probably talking about not wars and rumors of wars, because right now we have one little ongoing war, little compared to everything else. I'm sure the people involved don't think it's little, but other than that, we have ceasefires and rumors of ceasefires, because President Trump wants to extend the one with Iran, or so he says. And now there are reports that Israel will have a ceasefire in Lebanon, meaning not with Lebanon because they're not at war with Lebanon, but with Hezbollah, the what do you call it, the Iranian terror proxy in southern Lebanon. So what's been going on with that? Because a lot you wouldn't hear about it. You know why? In Israel, very few people are killed, very few people are injured, and very few structures that are significant are damaged. So you wouldn't hear about it. But if you have on your phone, wow, I don't even have my phone near me. Oh, got it. Okay.
It's so hot outside and it's nighttime.
Yeah, it's hot. We're having a Sharav here. We're having a massive heat wave. I've got the windows open, and Raya just said it's really hot. She was just outside. Anyway, if you have a red alert on your phone, you will see that the north of Israel is experiencing dozens of, can you put it lower? Thank you. Dozens a day of alerts, rockets coming in, drones, etc., from the very tip at the north, Metula, all the way down to usually Nahariya or Akko, but mostly concentrated now in the north. Now, why it's interesting because just so you know, they have been pushed. They're because of the Israeli military activity. Hezbollah has been pushed further north, and as they are further north, their range to Israel decreases. So, I mean, it's the same range, but now they're hitting more so very, just the northernmost communities. So it's a lot less fire or a lot less expansive, let's say. Now, this puts obviously the people of Metula and all of the other communities that are on that other border from the Mediterranean inside, that's putting them under increasing pressure. They're getting the bulk of the rockets now because the range is now limited. As Hezbollah gets pushed further north, they have less range into Israel. Now, there's talk that Israel and Lebanon now are talking. I mean, Israel and Lebanon are talking. That is like probably a dramatic, historic milestone, that the fact that these two nations for the first time in 40 plus years are actually sitting down at a table together. And the question is why, especially with what's going on right now in Lebanon. There's, the Israeli military is in southern Lebanon. They are currently still battling for this town called Bin Jabal. And there have been a couple of injuries, several injuries among the Israelis, but this is a Hezbollah stronghold, and the fact that they are there, it's being portrayed as like a very significant. If they get in there, it's like very significant, and for especially for Hezbollah, like it really marks for them that you've been pushed out of this place. It's so funny, by the way. It's like 9:30 here, and I am like struggling to find words actually for some of this. It's insane. Oh, please don't even.
Oh, let me tell you what we did tonight.
No, don't tell me now. Oh my gosh. So anyway, this is and some more people are coming in. Hi, Lucas. Hi. So anyway, so you've got like they're going after this town. It's like in Bin Jabal, and if they do that, it's kind of like what's the word, like to show, like it's symbolic. That's the word I'm struggling to find. It would be symbolic for Israel to take over this town and to say, okay, we're here. It puts like their stamp. So this is what the Israeli military is doing. By the way, I just want to say hi to Roman and Barbara, and I'm glad you're catching live. This is awesome. So anyway, if Israel does that, it's very significant. Now, I was asked on this previous webinar about like, the winners, the losers, who has the upper hand, what like after this war. And I said, actually, I feel like the biggest outcome, like let's say everything stays status quo, the fighting doesn't continue. Let's say it just like the ceasefire holds and everybody agrees to something and everybody goes about their normal life, then the biggest outcome of that will be that Israel and Hezbollah have Israel and Lebanon have begun talks on possible normalization, but also, come on, really, they're talking about how do we disarm Hezbollah, because Hezbollah is menacing Israel, but Hezbollah is also menacing Lebanon. So it doesn't mean that the Lebanese are suddenly like, wow, we're so pro-Israel, we love Israel. And Israel's not saying like, oh yeah, let's let's have great ties. It's all about the mutual interests of degrading Hezbollah, actually removing Hezbollah, because they're also extremely embedded not just in the land, but in the politics and in society, and they have a lot of control. And that's basically Iranian influence in a foreign country. So I showed some videos last night that there are people who there are voices in Lebanon that are starting to speak out against Hezbollah, like very publicly, and write articles and also be interviewed on the news. And I have another one that I'm going to show you guys tonight. But I just wanted to say hi to Walter, who's here. You missed the webinar. Don't worry. When it's up, I'll share it. It'll be published. And Tony Hernandez. So are you in Jerusalem, or are you just emphasizing that USA is in Jerusalem? One of the questions I was asked in the webinar was whether, like, there's a lot of talk out there that Trump was dragged into the war by Israel, that Netanyahu like dragged him in and forced him to go to war. And what I think of that. And I was like, does Trump get forced or dragged by anybody in the world? Or does Trump do what he has intended to do and leave us all guessing? And I'm really going with the latter. Like, Israel wanted this war 100%. Israel wanted to go to war with Iran. And not only that, when you're going to war with Iran with the US, I mean, that's the way to go to war with Iran. But Israel's done it on its own before. And for sure, Israel would be, they've long talked about the strategy of like going for the head of the octopus and then like slowly dissipating the arms of the octopus, like, which is the Iranian regime with all its proxies. And so they've long said like the strategy is to hit it at the head, which it would be Iran itself, and then to go on. So what we saw in Iran with the war there, what Israel did was what it wanted to do, which was on the basis of years, decades probably, of intel, of strategy, of an accumulation of military targets, and they did it. They got to do that, but they did what they wanted, and I mean, I'm sure they wanted to do more, but does that mean they dragged Iran into it? And that I mean, does that mean they dragged the U.S. into it? I don't think so, because I don't think anybody drags Trump. I think Trump drags us on his his stream of consciousness. Like, he will put out, and this is why I have stopped, at least here, reporting, unless it's just for fun, because when he says you crazy effing bastards or whatever, and he's talking about like the leadership of another country, and these are words that I tell my kids not to use, and he used it in like on social media. Okay, like, I reported it because the language is newsworthy, but the messages are not necessarily for us to hang on every one. I see that he puts things out there, whether it's just stream of consciousness or whether it's deliberate, in terms of to say what he wants to say or to get you off his trail. And so rather than get sucked up into the narrative and analyzing the narrative, we have to just wait for his actions. So, what are his actions right now? Because his speech is Iran wants a deal. We're so close to a ceasefire, or we're going to extend the ceasefire. We're so close to ending this war. The war's over. It's all but over. These are his words. Now, what are the actions? There's been no withdrawal by America. America was never in Iran, so there was nothing really to withdraw from, but they haven't withdrawn from the region. Everybody's still here on high alert. I mean, they are on high alert, like the military, I would think. I think there's something like 50,000 U.S. troops. There are aircraft carriers. There's hundreds of war jets, and they're still here. And is it the Bush, the George W. Bush, is on its way to the region, or here in the region, or close by. He's also got the Navy blocking the Strait of Hormuz. Don't ask me about that. I don't know much about it, except that they blocked it. The U.S. Navy says they let nothing through. There's other reports, Iran saying, no, we're getting everything we need. Don't know. I don't know the answer. So the actions of Trump don't necessarily back up the quotes. Now, of course, you would be a fool to just get everybody back to the U.S. right away without some sort of agreement in hand. True. But it's not like we're seeing any lessening. So this could be in a lead up to a round two, or it really could be a ceasefire. And that's why I titled this Ceasefires and Rumors of Ceasefires. So we had a war, we had rumors of war, and then we entered war. And now we are talking about not war, but ceasefires and rumors of ceasefires. So we've got the ceasefire somewhat holding in Iran. There's still an ongoing ceasefire, not finished, not through all the phases in Gaza. And then now breaking news this evening here was that there is possibly a ceasefire between that Israel will hold its fire and Hezbollah will hold its fire against Israel. And now this is a tricky issue for Israel, because they also got into southern Lebanon. And they are, like I said, I was saying, they're taking over, or in the process of, they're very entrenched in this town of Bin Jabil. I don't know which way it's going yet, but it's very intense battles over there. They have also ordered everybody north of the Litani River, that anybody that's south of it could be a target right now. That is a lot of land in a sovereign country that is not involved in the fighting. Very huge. They also are now, I think that there's another river. It's like, I can't read my handwriting. Zaharni River, maybe, that I think is north of Litani, that they're even saying now to evacuate up from there. So are these bluffs? Are they counter bluffs? Are they the truth? Are they the intentions? I really don't know. But this is what keeps us on the edge of our seats. And that is why when, over here, like, people are not letting their guard down and they're getting prepared for anything. So anyway, in the meantime, some comments. Janice, hi, Janice. Also an exchange of words with the Pope just to distract. That is another interesting thing, a back and forth. I was listening to the radio today on the way, sitting in traffic, and they were talking about like the war of words with the Pope, but it's like, why are you getting involved with the Pope? And even Vance, now I think he's Catholic, right? And he was getting involved and actually taking a stance against the Pope, but with the administration. But very interesting, because you've got the Pope's American this time, so it's like, wow, it's three Americans now duking it out here. Okay, so Walter says, hopefully Trump is planning on finishing the job and will remove the evil regime in Iran, making them to become non-existent. So while I'm sure many people are hoping, like you, And, I interviewed, remember the interview with Khosrow Isfahani, and of course he was very positive that it would happen, whether if not in the immediate future, in that, yes, in the near future it would happen. And so he was saying that, but then I have also heard analysis of the regime saying very, very hard to overcome, and definitely not just by the by an air campaign where they're just bombing from the air. So I think, I was asked the question in the webinar, who has the upper hand after all this? And I said, it's really hard to say who has the upper hand, because Iran was definitely weakened, but they were not taken out. And the regime has a way of regrowing its arms, like sort of like a starfish. So it's possible they survive a lot longer. Now, the US will just go back to the US, the troops are going to leave the region eventually. And so did they gain anything? Like, there was no immediate threat, but maybe they won't have a weapon. So it's like you won't feel if they have the upper hand. And then Israel will remain on defensive mode. Like, you still, like, the Houthis could fire, Hezbollah may not be solved, this issue of Hezbollah. And you still, like, so Israel will still be on the defensive. So did they gain something out of it? I can't say. The only thing I can say with clarity is that we can say who got the worst hand in the deck, and that is the Iranian people, who were hoping for regime change. So that's what I have to say to that. And I also want to say hello to Roy and Mary. Good to see you guys live over here. This is awesome. Thank you. Thank you for joining. So, all right. So let's check out. It's because we're talking about Lebanon. I would like to see. I'll go through a few stories. Last Wednesday. Wow. So it's a week. The ceasefire was declared just over a week ago, and then Israel continued to bomb Lebanon, Hezbollah in Lebanon, and they carried out this operation where they called it Operation Eternal Darkness, and they say they hit 100 targets in 10 minutes, but 300 people were killed, more than 300 people, and over 1,000 wounded. And Lebanon has lodged a complaint with the United Nations saying, like, you can't let that happen. So anyway, we're also going to look at a few other things in Lebanon just to see what's going on. So I'm going to share my screen and we'll take a look at some of the headlines in Lebanon. So this is a Lebanese outlet, and they're talking about how Israel hails Lebanon talks as a historic opportunity to end the Hezbollah stranglehold. And I think this is what people are looking at right now, maybe even the Lebanese, so the government spokesperson, David Menzer, said this is indeed a genuine historic opportunity to end decades of Hezbollah stranglehold over Lebanon. So, all right, let's see what else, because there were some interesting headlines. There's more just constant targets being hit. There were a lot of paramedics actually getting killed in this last round. And here is the other rumor of ceasefire, is that diplomatic efforts to halt hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah reached a fever pitch on Wednesday, with reports suggesting a potential ceasefire could be announced as early as tonight. Now, I will let you know, let me pause the reading of this article to tell you that apparently the Israeli cabinet is meeting to discuss this right now. And I think what I was starting to say before was that this is a tough call for Israel, because if they withdraw now, they can't assure themselves, they can't do the assuring for themselves that Hezbollah will go. But if they continue, because a lot of people right now are saying like we're going to continue the fighting and we're going to go all the way, and I mean it's always the talk, by the hawks anyway. So if they agree to a ceasefire, while it would relieve the communities in the north, which are constantly under fire, they don't have school, no work, no normal life, whatever, and they have like hours upon hours of sirens a day. But Hezbollah would be able to re-entrench itself, like put its roots down, arm itself and whatever, if they are not taken care of another way, which is what Israel is insisting. And actually the Lebanese government has also said that they would do, that they said they were going to do, which is to, to disarm Hezbollah. And they haven't done it yet. They said this in like September, I think, of last year or August. But okay, so let's move on. So Information Minister Paul Marcos told Al Arabiya Al Hadat channel that the collaborative effort of, this is talking about Lebanon's politicians, President Joseph Aoun and Prime Minister Nawaf Salam have started to materialize. Lebanese official sources told Al Hadat that the U.S. is actively pressing Israel to agree to a cessation of hostilities and to formalize a date for a subsequent negotiation round. The U.S. initiative is reportedly aiming at strengthening the Lebanese central government. Washington wants a ceasefire with Lebanon in order to strengthen the Lebanese government, an Israeli official told Israel's Channel 13 News. Let me see. Is this your microwave eggs?
Yes, it is. This is the omelette. You see what I did there? Gonna slide
Oh,
on
wow. On my
I
computer.
added cheese this time.
That was brilliant.
That's it. Oh, and
Do you know why actually there's dinner?
I know. I buy this instead of mayonnaise. There's cream.
Wow. Okay. So
No,
when you
cottage.
don't cook, they want food. And when you cook, they either don't want it or they make their own. So Lucas has discovered microwaved eggs.
I taste so good.
And he's even like, what?
I taste so good. Here, taste it.
No, it's all right.
No, yeah.
No, it's all right.
Come
No,
on.
no, I don't.
Mom.
I'm waiting for my
Mom,
last bite.
They want to know your opinion on it.
But what if I don't like it? And I'm saying it live on TV.
Then you tell them.
We're
you
talking
don't
about
like it.
Lebanon right now.
Then you tell them you don't
Oh my
like
God. Cut that in half.
it. Okay, fine. Mom there. Mom there, Mom.
It's actually very decadent. It's very good.
See, Mom, I perfected.
He's working on his microwaved eggs,
No, I just watched the video of a guy talk about it.
of course. TikTok
It was.
recipe. There you go. I don't know what I'm wasting my time here talking about geopolitics when all I have to do is like go on TikTok and make up a recipe, and like millions of kids around the world will microwave their eggs
And it tastes good.
and put their moms out of business, which is actually great. Never mind. Do it. All right. So wait. So here Debbie has, Tim Stepek. I just read Stepek and I automatically said Debbie. Microwaved eggs would get you disowned in my house. Thank you. But you know what?
Italian?
All right, Tim.
Thank you.
He's not Italian, but he's a chef. But Tim, I have to say this. I have to say, while I agree with you on a culinary level, I have to say, like, if that's going to happen, then I get like a pass on cooking. So, yeah, which might actually, yeah. Well, anyway, now that the war's over, maybe we'll for now. Now that the war's over for now, maybe we'll actually like have time to do things like that.
I think I got enough piercing, Mom.
You fucking young people who make microwave.
Yeah, the Lucas says try it before you judge. Yeah, I
Don't
know.
try it.
I know.
That's
There's a
fine.
lot to say. If you want to explain in the chat, I'll copy and paste it for him as well. Okay, just so getting back to rumors of ceasefire, it's not yet, but it's being discussed right now in the Israel Security Cabinet. They're meeting, I think, to talk about this right now. And so let's see, a senior Iranian security and political source, meanwhile, told Al Mayadeen television, I think that's associated with Hezbollah, that a ceasefire would be declared tonight following Iranian diplomatic pressure. Of course, they would say that about their host. Okay. Hezbollah, or their benefactor, Hezbollah MP Ibrahim Musawi also confirmed that Iranian and regional efforts might soon lead to a ceasefire. So I think the story is more so coming out in what do you call it, in Lebanon than it is in Israel. Like Israel, like it was coming first in Lebanon. So anyway, Tim says he cooks Italian. This is amazing. And the war isn't over. You know that? Yeah, we know. And I know we're just waiting for the next round. Walter says he has done that before, and I think he's talking about the eggs.
Well, he didn't have to do the right
No,
way.
that's Walter. But Tim says, I'll try anything once. So, you know.
Well, after
It's
once,
still my
you'll try
toe.
again.
Walter says we like Italian food. Now, there was somebody who joined the live last week who has like a very variegated roots of Lebanese, Greek, and Italian. And I was like, you have scored the trifecta of food perfection. I mean, those are the top three. Like those have to be the top three. Like, you know, Italian is always in the top three. Greek is really like it should be there. And also, and then Lebanese. And so very exciting. So this is so funny. Okay. All right. So now back to Lebanon, because we do want to taste their food, but let's see what other people are saying. So this is Tony Abu Najm, a member of the Lebanese Forces Party. He's a Christian. I don't know. I guess it must be a political party. So here's his take on about Hezbollah. And let's see. Oh, hey, Daniel. Wow. It's a really active house tonight. I think there's, oh, I got to go back to the beginning. There are subtitles. So let's check it out. This is Tony. And then let's watch it. We'll discover. Come on. You can play now. Okay, what's happening? That's not even funny. That's not even funny. Guys, I got it all set up. And why? All right, let's reload. Oh, technical issues. My goodness. Why can't they?
الإشكالية الكبرى حزب الله بعده عم بيمارس سياسة الإنقاذ.
Oh, wait.
الإسرائيلي خلال أسبوع بيكون خلص كل الجنوب الليطاني من بعدها من المرجح بناء على كل الإنذارات اللي كان عم بيعطيها يبلش مرحلة الجنوب الزهراني ومين بيعرف لوين ممكن يوصل. حزب الله بالوقائع أثبت إنه ما عنده القدرة، لا هيدا قدرة الردع ولا توازن الرعب ولا شيء ولا قدرة المواجهة الميدانية. لما نحكي بين 12 و 15 قتيل من الجيش الإسرائيلي بمقابل أكثر من 1500 عنصر من حزب الله، عم تحكي عن فارق شاسع بالقدرات.
مش مظبوط. كل يوم بيطلع حزب الله بيان استهدفنا.
Let me put this lower. I'm going to take the volume off and try to give you a few translation. Now, basically, this guy, it's in Arabic. You want to come and translate, but unfortunately, I'm only getting Hebrew subtitles, and I'm not that fast with the reading. And so come and translate it for us.
I'm totally kidding.
Come and translate it. You listen to the Arabic. Here, tell me if you know what he's saying.
Do they see me?
يخبوا قتلهم ما بيقدروا. هون بيعتبرون أرقام ويلا. هيدا الفرق. هلا البطولات الإعلامية تبع حزب الله يا لطيف صاروا الشباب يشتغلوا على AI. يعني بتسطروا بطولات. تتذكر خبرية انه قتلوا نتنياهو ساعة فيديو 6 أصابيع وساعة ما بعرف شو ونتنياهو امبارح كان بجنوب عنا بجنوب.
صح.
هودي الشباب بيعملوا لهم عايشين على المخدرات على القصص بيصيروا يخبروا اخبار وبيصدقوا.
All right. We're gonna have to. Man, I thought that when I watched this, I thought it was in English. So hilarious. Okay, this guy's basically saying that Israel is stronger than Hezbollah. Hezbollah stands no chance. They've killed 1,000 of their members. And then the host is saying, well, doesn't, didn't, like, we see that the Israeli soldiers are getting killed and whatever. And Tony explains, well, Israel, the Israelis mourn each of their fallen individually. It's like on TV, the prime minister and all of the heads of state will like send condolences. And he said, there's no way, you can't get away with not recognizing a death. So we can know for sure how many Israelis were killed. So the other person saying, well, what about like all the reports that they killed like 1,000 soldiers, or that even, and he said, come on, he said they even put out reports, like for weeks we had these reports that Netanyahu was killed, and everybody believed it in this specific media. And he said, but that was the reporting that, a lot of people believed it, that a Iranian missile killed Netanyahu. And they were like, obviously it didn't happen. Look, there he is now giving speeches, this, that, whatever. So anyway, this was very interesting to see the debate here, and to see, like, again, another case of an Iranian, a Lebanese saying, like, enough already. Like, these guys, they're not going to be able to defeat Israel. Israel has jets, Israel's this, that, whatever. So please go to bed. That'd be awesome. So anyway, now I saw there's another, speaking of technical things, there's something else happening here where I saw that you Facebook guys were talking, but it's only, look, there's a lot, old you guys, all these chats going on are not showing up on my console here. But when I just showed all the chats on the screen, then I see them. But I'm only getting the YouTube chats, which is crazy. But I kept seeing them pop in, like Tim and Walter are talking about best cuisines. And yes, and Tim had very good Israeli food. And it was, but let's say it wasn't, it was Israeli fusion food, right? If you're talking about the workshop, because that's not like Middle Eastern, but it's like the nouveau Israeli take on food, where they just use fresh ingredients. They're not necessarily making Middle Eastern food. They're making like maybe traditional dishes, but with Middle Eastern spices and herbs and stuff like that. So anyway, fascinating. I know a chef who took some of this inspiration to his restaurant in Rhode Island. So my brother-in-law, actually, yes, Uncle Hart. So anyway, he used like za'atar in a dish and stuff like that. But anyway, so I can like barely read your comments. Oh, it just popped up. Okay. Well, Tim, come back and we'll show you also the good Middle Eastern food, like the hummus. But we have taken your parents there, by the way, to the best hummus place in the old city, and also Knafe, and great stuff. But anyway, yes. So, all right. What else is happening in the world? There is, I'm an hour behind on the news. So I just saw that because I had to rewind it to catch the beginning of it. But there were a lot of, there's still Hezbollah fire. There's still Israel entrenched in Lebanon in the north with battles over there. And so it's going to be very interesting with Netanyahu's right-wing government for them to make a decision to declare a ceasefire. There's going to be a lot of opposition in the Israeli right wing to a ceasefire with Lebanon. And so we're waiting for their decision. They're saying that it could happen tonight. If it's before midnight, we've only got about 2 hours. Or if it's anytime overnight, I guess we'll find out in the morning. But it would be, what would the terms be? Would Israel have to withdraw and give up the towns that it has already occupied in the south. Would that be part of the ceasefire? If that's part of the ceasefire, Israel would be less willing to accept it. But if the pressure, as it seems to be, is coming from the U.S. to accept a ceasefire deal, then Israel would probably have to do that, knowing that it's mutual interest. It needs the support of the U.S. to continue, whether they're going to, what's going to happen with Iran. They need to stay on the same page with the U.S. Also, though they would be giving up ground to Hezbollah, it would be in Israel's interests to go with the flow and let these negotiations really start off with Lebanon on positive terms. Like, okay, look, we withdrew. So now, it would probably give Israel like a leg up and more credibility in when negotiating then with Lebanon. I don't know. I think it was a door slamming. What did you think it was? We hear things like that and everybody goes, oh, what was that? Was that an interception? Or, oh no, the war's over. So it wasn't a missile being intercepted. Oh, was it an impact or an interception? Or was it, wait, it was the Iron Dome launching. Like everybody is now a military expert and can like discern the different sounds and booms. Meanwhile, it was like a garbage truck, like dropping the dumpster back on the ground, and you're like, oh, okay. Wow, I just lost 10 years of my life by panicking because I just heard that. But anyway. So, all right. Anyway, that's where I'm going to leave it tonight. I mean, that's like news exhaustion for the day. Like I've had enough. Anyway, nothing really happened. We're just waiting for things to happen. So it's just like a bit ridiculous. But when the webinar comes out, which is like that, like if you guys like are here every night, you're up to speed on all this stuff. But like with the webinar, it was like, hey, let's like do a really nice summary of the last 40 days. And it's so funny because the last 40 days were like a year, like it felt like a year. And the host, Monique, was talking about how drone technology could be like is cheaper than interceptors, and how Zelensky and because Ukraine is like they've got drone technology. They've developed it. And so the fact that he did, and I totally forgot about this because it was a long 40 days, he did like his tour of the Middle East and was like, shopping his drones around and making deals and stuff like that. And then like using the Russian-backed Iranian, like Iran is like backed by Russia or like supplied by whatever. They're like more allied with Russia. So he was like using this wedge in the Gulf for himself and Ukraine to like, make some allies and make some deals. But I totally forgot about that. I was like, oh my gosh, that's right. There was in the midst of this, the Zelensky tour. And by the way, speaking of tours, the Prime Minister of Pakistan is in Saudi Arabia today. Now, Pakistan, it was host of the negotiations, may still be as they continue into round 2, if they do, which is possible for next week, for I think the weekends or in 2 weeks or whatever, but we'll see. So Pakistan has like really strong ties with Saudi Arabia. They have like a solid like NATO type deal. So they were there, but Saudi Arabia was under attack by Iran, along with the UAE and Israel and all like 15 other countries. So that was just really interesting to see, like, then Pakistan's this neutral, supposedly like negotiator between the two sides. And then there they go to Saudi Arabia because they do have a deal with Saudi Arabia. And it just like, it's a very complicated web of a region. And there's so much. I love it. But anyway. All right. Well, thank you for joining. This was a lot of fun. The chatting and of course the food talks and the microwave eggs. So how Lucas perfected it tonight was to add cheese and cream cheese, whereas yesterday he just used mayonnaise and salt. But today I do have to say he leveled up with the cheese and the cream cheese. And I guess that means that I can stop cooking now, because between him and Raya, it's awesome. I'll have more time for you guys. All right. That's how it works. Anyway, thank you for joining. Have a good day, good morning, good night, wherever you are. And if you like this, hit the like button, please. It will help this go out and get better like algorithm ratings and all that craziness. And apparently you have to, do that to whatever. So anyway, if you could do that, and if you haven't subscribed, please do, especially on YouTube, because that will definitely help the videos get out there more. So I really appreciate it, and I hope you join again. Like Tim, come back. It's I get to see your mom a lot, but welcome. And anyway, all right, guys, thank you so much.